This week, the Ask Dr. Durie question comes from Michelle, who has smoldering myeloma, and asks what is actually quite an important question, which is we've been hearing all of the excitement about the newly approved drugs, some of which seem to be very, very good. So are those new drugs available for use in the frontline setting, even in smoldering myeloma, for example? This is a very important topic which was discussed at the ASH Satellite Symposium hosted by the IMF this year. And the discussants were Shaji Kumar, who said that new agents should be available up front, and Philippe Moreau, who said that we should be a little bit more cautious about that. And so there clearly are important pros and cons. One practical aspect is that in the US, when a drug is approved, there is some flexibility about the situations in which the drug can be used. And in fact, insurance companies will often reimburse for earlier use of a drug that's approved officially in the relapse setting. However, outside of the US, the approval is strictly the approval. So if a drug, for example, daratumumab, Darzalex is approved in the relapse refractory setting, then it is available only in the relapse refractory setting. Looking at this in a broad way, there are a number of aspects. Obviously, the drugs need to be safe. They need to have sufficient benefit that might justify earlier use, and someone needs to be considering what are the cost and reimbursement issues. So these are complex issues. In the interim, there is one example where there is a recommendation to consider earlier use of carfilzomib, which was approved earlier in the year, and carfilzomib can be considered in the frontline setting because it does have substantial efficacy when combined with Revlimid and dexamethasone. So for example, when the Mayo team developed their M-SMART guidelines recently, they felt that there was sufficient benefit with carfilzomib, Revlimid, and Dex that this could be considered for the treatment of high-risk myeloma, where we really don't know what is the most important therapy. But the bottom line in this situation is that there just needs to be a case-by-case discussion to see if it might possibly be appropriate to use a drug which has been officially approved in a later disease setting. In the situation of smoldering myeloma, there is some good news for Michelle, which is that daratumumab, recently approved in the relapse refractory setting, is incorporated into an upcoming trial in the US supported by the Black Swan Research Initiative, in which we are going to be looking at carfilzomib, Revlimid, and dexamethasone combined with daratumumab and autologous stem cell transplant in an effort to attempt a curative therapy for high-risk smoldering myeloma. And so the bottom line is case-by-case discussions, or possibly reviewing a trial which might be appropriate and incorporate a drug for earlier use.